Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into Ezekiel, the 10th chapter. And just a brief recap of what happened in the 9th chapter, as we discussed, was that as the Lord had showed Ezekiel the vision of, taking him to Jerusalem and seeing what was going on over there, Ezekiel then witnessed the Lord give commandments to certain angels to basically go and to slay the people, all right, regardless of their age or any of that sort. But there were a few of them that were exempted, okay, which you had one angel in charge of marking them for exemption, okay. And so now in Ezekiel chapter 10, as he's still in the vision, right? He's still seeing the vision. Verse 10, Ezekiel chapter 10, verse 1. Then I looked, and behold, in the firmament that was above the head of the cherubims, there appeared over them, as it were, a sapphire stone, as the appearance of the likeness of a throne. Now, in Ezekiel the 10th chapter, it's mostly about how the chariots and the angels that he sees in the vision, okay, the same ones that he saw in Ezekiel the 1st chapter when the Lord first appeared to him. So here he says, as he's looking, he sees now he sees the cherubims, which is referring to the angels. The cherubims is plural for cherub, which in the Hebrew is karawab or karawabium, and it's talking about the angels here. All right, so he says here, as he looks above the angels, he saw what appeared to be, it looked like a sapphire stone, but it was a chariot, okay, as the appearance of the likeness of a throne. And he spake unto the man clothed with linen. So the Lord spake to the man that was clothed with linen, which we read in the 9th chapter. He was mentioned there as well, and said, go in between the wheels. And the wheels here are talking about the chariots as well. As we keep on reading, it'll expound upon the wheels and their description. Even under the cherub, and fill thine hand with coals of fire from between the cherubims, and scatter them over the city. And he went in my sight. So there was, some coals right in the midst of the angels, the cherubims. And the Lord told the angel that was clothed in linen to go over there and go get some of that fire, grab like a handful, and to scatter it over the city. Now the cherubims stood on the right side of the house when the man went in, and the cloud filled the inner court. And when it talks about the cloud, it's referring to a chariot there as well. Okay, so basically, and the house here is the temple. Remember, that's the setting that the 9th chapter that we saw, right? Even in the 8th chapter as well. So here they're at the temple in a certain area, a certain location in there. Verse 4, and the glory of the Lord went up from the cherub and stood over the threshold of the house. So as he had seen the Lord's chariot above, remember in the first verse, it appeared above the cherubims, all right? Now it moved, okay, it moved from there and it went over to the entrance of the temple. And the house was filled with the cloud, and the court was full of the brightness of the Lord's glory. Yeah, because those chariots are especially when they're up close, even when they're afar, when you see a chariot from afar in the daytime, it looks like a bright white light, almost like a dot, and it is moving in there. So imagine it up close. That's why he says here, it was bright and full of the Lord's glory. Verse 5, and the sound of the cherubim's wings was heard even to the outer court, as the voice of the Almighty God when he speaketh. Meaning that when the angels flap their wings, okay, to hover or to move, it was very loud, which sort of gives you an idea that they had to be big in size for their wings to be that loud. I gave the example before. If a bird flies past you, you can hear the movement, the flapping of its wings. So how much more, and a bird is but a fraction of the size of a human being. So how much more for an angel? You need to have big wings in order to keep you up like that. So it makes sense that it was so loud. Verse 6, and it came to pass that when he had commanded the man clothed with linen, saying, take fire from between the wheels, from between the cherubims, then he went in and stood beside the wheels, because the wheels, being the chariots, were next to the angels that which controlled them. So this angel that was commanded to go and get the fire or the coals, he had to go over there to where the group of angels were. And as it says here, he stood beside the wheels. And one cherub stretched forth his hand from between the cherubims into the fire that was between the cherubims, and took thereof, and put it into the hands of him that was clothed in linen, who took it and went out. So now, and this is really just Ezekiel describing once again what he's seeing, right? So he sees this angel, the one clothed in linen. He comes up to the group of angels here, and then one of them reaches into the fire, grabs some coal, and gives it to this angel here. Verse 8, and there appeared in the cherubims the form of a man's hand under their wings. Now remember, back in Ezekiel chapter 1, when Ezekiel first saw the cherubims, he referred to them as the living creatures, right? And he described how they had the form, the likeness of a man, but they had four faces. They had hands, and they had feet, and they had four wings. So he's seeing them again. And that's why he's talking about how they had hands here under their wings. And when I looked, behold, the four wheels by the cherubims, one wheel by one cherub, and another wheel by another cherub. The appearance of the wheels was as the color of a beryl stone. So he basically saw an angel and a chariot next to him, an angel and a chariot next to him, an angel and a chariot next to him. Okay, and he says that the color of the chariots was like a beryl stone, which you can look it up and see what you find. Verse 10, the beryl, that is. As for their appearances, they four had one likeness, as if a wheel had been in the midst of a wheel. So he's describing what the chariots look like. He's like, they all looked like they were designed the same way, and their design was like a circle inside of another circle, like a disc. All right, and that's the typical depiction of a UFO. If you type that in here, if you put a UFO in here, you'll see something like this, which is an example. When he says a wheel, it's really like a circle, right? So you have an inner circle and you have an outer circle. This would be the wheel that's inside of this outer wheel, right? This is here another example, a wheel in the midst of another wheel. And that's why most of the time, so much for the Bible not being real, right? But most of the time, whenever you see depictions of UFOs, they're described in the same way that Ezekiel describes them. I wonder why that is. Well, that's pretty dope. It's a nice one right there. And this in the first chapter, remember he describes the chariots as having eyes round about. It's talking about the windows. Okay, the windows, when they're lit up, it looks like that. Let me see. I think there was one above. Yeah, even going back here. That's the lights that were all round about it. Okay. Let's keep on going. Verse 11. When they went, they went upon their four sides. They turned not as they went, but to the place whither the head looked, they followed it. They turned not as they went. So these chariots weren't being controlled by like a steering wheel. You know, here there's the angel, he got to hit the clutch, shift the gear left, right, up, this way, and then hit the accelerator and hit the brake. And then he's trying to, turn the steering wheel and all of that to do these maneuvers. That's not how it works. Okay, basically the chariots moved after the spirit of the angels. And that's why it says that wherever the head looked, they followed. And wherever the angels went, the chariots went as well. Here it is. Esau thinks he's advanced with having self-driving cars. You are nowhere near the technology of the Lord. Nowhere near. Verse 12. And their whole body, and their backs, and their hands, and their wings, and the wheels were full of eyes round about, even the wheels that they four had. So, once again, describing the chariots, the windows of the chariots, okay? But also the angels themselves. Now, when you read in the book of Revelation, I forget exactly which chapter, there are angels that are described or that have different looks, different appearances. There's some angels that look like beasts. There's some angels that have eyes round about them, right? There's some angels that look like men. Okay? So not all angels look the same. But here he's describing, for the most part, the eyes, when it talks about the eyes around about the wheels, it's the windows of the wheels. Okay, but when he talks about the whole body, their backs, their hands, and their wings, he's talking about the angels. So that must not have been the most comforting sight to see. It must have been a pretty intense sight. Verse 13, as for the wheels, it was cried unto them in mine hearing, O wheel, and every one had four faces. This now in verse 14, every one is talking about the angels. And this is a repetition of the first chapter, right? Everyone had four faces. The first face was the face of a cherub, and the second face was the face of a man, and the third the face of a lion, and the fourth the face of an eagle. Now, in the KJV translation, they translate the first face here and to say it's a cherub. Although in the first chapter, Ezekiel described it as an ox, if I'm not mistaken. And when you actually look at some of these other translations, a few of them go along with the cherub. But in the NLT, for example, you'll see it keeps it here, right? It says the first was the face of an ox, right? The same description that Ezekiel gave in the first chapter. So maybe they had a error in there, or maybe not. But just something to point out over here, which these faces had represented the characteristics, okay, that these angels have for the most part. All right, and the cherub or the ox there represents the strength, okay, of the angels. The man represents intelligence, the lion represents the courage, and the eagle represents the ability to fly, okay, or their swiftness. Verse 15, and the cherubims, but they actually had four faces, one on each side, the front, the right, the left, behind. And the cherubims were lifted up, so they flew upward. This is the living creature that I saw by the river of Kibar. And that was where he was when he first received this vision. And when the cherubims went, the wheels went by them. And when the cherubims lifted up their wings to mount up from the earth, the wheels also turned not from beside them. So when the angels moved in one way, the chariots followed them. When the angels moved in another way, the chariots followed them. When the angels moved up, the chariots followed them. Verse 17, when they stood, these stood. And when they were lifted up, these lifted up themselves also. For the spirit of the living creature was in them. So that the chariots were connected to the angels. So wherever the angels went, the chariots went. Now you try doing that with your car. You walk one direction and expect your car to pull out of the parking spot and come and find you. This ain't the Batmobile. Verse 18, then the glory of the Lord Yahweh departed from off the threshold of the house and stood over the cherubims. So now, remember earlier that the chariot of the Lord had moved and went and hovered above the door of the house. And then it went back over above the cherubims, which are the angels. Verse 19, and the cherubims lifted up their wings and mounted up from the earth in my sight. When they went out, the wheels also were beside them, everyone stood at the door of the east gate of the Lord's house, which is the temple. And the glory of the Lord of Israel was over them above. So now he could see that you had all the angels over there in the east gate. You had the chariot of the Lord above them. You had the angels and their chariots next to them. Verse 20, this is the living creature that I saw under the God of Israel by the river of Kibar, and I knew that they were the cherubims. So he recognized that these were the angels of the Lord. And these were the same ones that he saw in his first vision. Just like that, how he saw the chariot of the Lord above them, and he saw them and their chariots. Verse 21, every one had 4 faces apiece, and every one 4 wings. And the likeness of the hands of a man was under their wings. And the likeness of their faces was the same faces which I saw by the river of Kibar. Their appearances and themselves, they went every one straight forward. So once again, as he described, they all had 4 faces, each one of them, but they had like the body of a man, like they had the hands and the feet and all of that. Okay, now this lets us know in verse 22 that the verse we read above, where it says when it was describing the 4 faces, when it says cherub, it really should be ox, right? Because here it says that the likeness of their faces was the same faces which I saw by the river Kibar. Now, let's go there real quick in Ezekiel, the 1st chapter. And let's go down specifically to here we go. Ezekiel chapter 1 verse 6, and everyone had 4 faces, and everyone had 4 wings. And now let's come down to the faces. Verse 10, as for the likeness of their faces, they 4 had the face of a man, right? The face of a lion on the right side, and they 4 had the face of an ox on the left side. They 4 also had the face of an eagle. So when we come back to Ezekiel chapter 10, and he describes here the faces, 10 and 14, it says, and everyone had 4 faces. The first face was the face of a cherub. This should be the ox. All right, it really should be an ox. And then the second was a man. The third was a lion. And the 4th was an eagle, which matches the same description he gave in Ezekiel, the 1st chapter. Okay, but that's pretty much the end of Ezekiel chapter 10. Like I said, Ezekiel's still in the same vision, but now after seeing the angels, the commandment to go slaughter the people, the idol worship, the wickedness that was going on in the temple, he now sees the angels, the chariots, and the glory of the Lord. So with that, Lord willing, you are edified. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.